And welcome back to this week's edition of the Inside Pitch. I'm Kenny Ayers alongside Evan Smith. Evan, it looks like the National League Central is really going to be a two-team race for the division title. The Reds, obviously, one of those teams. They're not getting their production from the people that they normally get the production from. Joey Votto's only got 1 home run and 3 RBIs so far, but don't let that fool you. His on-base percentage is .530. He's drawn 21 walks. That's almost as much as the entire Chicago White Sox team. He's a guy that gets on base a lot.
Right, and Joey Votto is going to have a huge impact for the team. He's always been a consistent MVP candidate. And yeah, he's always had tremendous plate discipline. Why don't we take a look here and watch him draw a 3-2 walk with the bases loaded, takes his slider, and gets a run in.
Reds also will get tremendous offensive production from Shin-Soo Choo, who they acquired in the offseason. He's the guy that hit for speed, or run for speed rather, hit for average, hit for power. Also, Jay Bruce, big home run guy. Brandon Phillips, who's just about the hottest guy in the league right now. He's got 19 RBIs. So offensively, they're set. On the pitching mound, they've had good starts so far from Homer Bailey, Bronson Arroyo, and Matt Latos. I don't know if those are guys who you can depend on for an entire season. Obviously, with Johnny Cueto going on the disabled list with a lat strain, that's going to be a question for them. But there's no doubt who their biggest presence on the mound is, and that's their closer, Aroldis Chapman.
Right, and Chapman they got from Cuba a couple of years ago. He's been on the spot, came in the league, and he's been tremendous. He has an eccentric fastball, can dial it up to 100 miles per hour. Why don't we take a look here? Gets the fastball up to 100 miles per hour, blows away Ryan Howard, a dead red fastball hitter on a high fastball, and then he comes back. He has a tremendous slider, can get guys out with that too. So he's just very dynamic, and he's very dangerous.
Now, the St. Louis Cardinals are the other team that can give the Reds a run for the division, and offensively, they're probably even more set than the Reds. They've got 6 guys already with 8 runs batted in. Offensively, they've got Yadier Molina, they've got Matt Holliday, Beltran, David Freese, Alan Craig. So from that standpoint, they're very dangerous, just as they were even after they traded Albert Pujols, still very dangerous. And on the mound, they've been getting tremendous starting pitching. Shelby Miller, Jaime Garcia, both ERAs under 2, but there's no question about it that Adam Wainwright has been the best starter for the St. Louis Cardinals so far. In his last start against the Brewers, you see here as he blows a high fastball right by Ryan Braun. He had 12 strikeouts in that game. He's been absolutely tremendous, and I know the manager had good things to say about him.
Right, Mike Matheny had a lot to say about him. Why don't we take a look here and see what he has to say?
He was mixing it up well. He was showing them a different look almost every time they walked up there. He was finishing guys different. I wasn't relying on one particular pitch. Using them all to both sides, it was exactly how you design pitching, and it was very impressive.
Pirates, one of those teams that there's sort of a big drop-off after the Reds and the Cardinals. They got one of the lowest batting averages in the league at .214. Andrew McCutchen, he's hitting for a low average right now. He's hitting some home runs, driving in runs, stealing bases, so I think he's going to be all right. But one thing that they've got to be really happy about is the young outfielder Starling Marte. For a team that needs offense badly, they are getting it from this guy. He's hitting .370 so far in this young season. Very dynamic player. You see here as he takes this pitch, this low and outside curveball, he's able to poke it into center field. A nice piece of hitting to drive in a run there, and also plays tremendous defense, as you can see here from this sliding catch. He's a real good prospect for the Pirates, and hopefully someone that they can build their team around. But once again, starting pitching is the question.
Right, yeah, they're pretty thin on starting pitching. They got A.J. Burnett, who they acquired from the Yankees a couple years ago, and he's been doing a pretty solid job for them. But other than him, they're going to need a couple other guys to step up and really take the helm doing that.
Now, sticking with that theme of starting pitching, the Cubs, yet another team in this fairly weak division that is struggling with starting pitching. They've had one guy, Jeff Samardzija, who has 29 strikeouts in 19 innings, who has been good. He's the former quarterback, actually, from Notre Dame. Right. Throws 100 miles an hour. He's got a live arm. He's been great so far. After that, significant drop-off. They've been getting solid efforts from Travis Wood and Carlos Villanueva, but those aren't guys you can depend on for an entire season. And Edwin Jackson, who they need to step up and be a number 2 guy, he has been struggling bad. Take a look at his start against the San Francisco Giants last week. This is ugly. He threw 3 wild pitches in 1 inning. In fact, there were 5 wild pitches in that entire inning. That ties a major league record, so they've been struggling there. Offensively, they've been struggling too.
Yeah, they've been struggling a little bit. They need Alfonso Soriano to step up, and Sterling Castro. They have a couple big names, but they just aren't really doing a great job right now. They're getting a little bit older, Alfonso Soriano. So look for them. They need to step up. They're probably not going to they're probably going to be the back end of the division this year. But, we'll see if those guys can step up. Maybe they can do a little damage.
Nate Shearholt's one of those guys that has been doing damage. As you can see here, he drives this pitch off Giants. Struggling ace Tim Lincecum out to right field for a home run. He's hitting .362, so he's been solid for them so far. Now, the Brewers, another team that struggles offensively, bottom third in the league in hitting. Ryan Braun started off hot. He has cooled off significantly, 15 strikeouts. He's not a guy you probably have to worry about over the length of the season. But in terms of offense, they're going to need other guys to step up. And one guy who has been stepping up is the young shortstop, Jean Segura. Segura, he's got terrific gap power. He hits the ball in the gaps, drives in runs. And also, he's a tremendous defender. As you see here from this relay throw from left field, as he's able to nab Alan Craig at the plate, he's got a real tremendous arm. He's got quick hands, and that's not going to be a worry for them.
Right, yeah, so he's been doing a tremendous job. And, just like for Ryan Braun, you mentioned him before, he's always an MVP candidate as well. So him and Corey Hart, look for those guys to step up. If they can do something in the middle of the lineup, they'll be all right. So I think,
Real quick, let's get to our predictions in the National League Central. I'm going to go with Cardinals in first. I think their offense is too good, and their starting pitching has been terrific. Reds, obviously, in second. After that, there's no competition. It's just who fills out the bottom three. I'm going to go with Brewers, Pirates, and Cubs in the cellar.
I got a little bit different. I think the Reds are going to come in first. I think they just have so much versatility as far as pitching, hitting, defense, just the whole 9 yards. So they're going to be good in that department. And number two, I'd say will probably be the Cardinals. They always sneak into the playoffs somehow. And for three, I think the Pirates, then the Brewers, and then the Cubs. And, with the loss of the Astros out of the Central this year, it's going to be a little bit different dynamic because, those some teams see those as easy wins because they have been struggling in the past. So it's going to be a little bit different dynamic.
That just about does it for this week's edition of The Inside Pitch. We'll come back next week. We'll talk about the American League Central. For Evan Smith, I'm Kenny Ayers. Back to you guys in the studio.